Welcome, everyone, to episode 4 of Talk Exchange, the official podcast of the National Exchange Club. Today, we have our hosts, Tracey Edwards and Kristie Lindau from the national headquarters, welcoming Rich Wistocki, an Exchange Club member, law enforcement expert, former SWAT team member, and nationally recognized cyber crime expert. He's basically a real-life version of a Chuck Norris character, so you better pay attention. Seriously, though, this is one episode you do not want to miss. It's extremely informative, thought-provoking, and even sometimes a little bit disturbing. But this episode is something we all need to listen to, if only to make ourselves aware of what's happening in our country. We truly hope you take away as much value as we did, and please don't hesitate to reach out with questions and comments from this important episode. So thanks for listening, and welcome to episode 4 of Talk Exchange.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tracey Edwards.
And I'm Kristie Lindau.
From the National Exchange Club. We're so excited that you joined us to listen to this podcast. It's been so much fun talking to members and partners and community leaders from around the country.
Yeah, we know some of these people so well just because obviously they have enthusiasm for exchange.
Yes.
What they do, what we do, what everyone does around the country. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting to us to be able to introduce those people to a larger audience, share what we know about them.
Exactly. It's super fun. And today we're so excited to have retired detective, Naperville Police Department, Rich Wistocki, with us. Rich is a great friend and partner of Exchange. He's also a member of the Exchange Club of Naperville. He's doing amazing things across the country. Welcome, Rich.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. We're excited to learn a little bit about what you've been doing, how you started in this journey, and what it's led you to do today that's had so much great impact in saving lives across the country.
Sure. So I am a resident of Lockport, Illinois. I have grew up in the south side of Chicago. I've been a police officer for 30 years. I started out in my hometown of Summit, Illinois, and this is a suburb of Chicago, right on the southwest side there. And I became the police there back in 1988, and then I went to 89 and 90, and then I just got tired of arresting all my friends I grew up with. And so what happened was one night, one of the gangs that were in our town had thought that they'd send me a message and shoot out all the windows of my car one night. So my fiance at the time, who was still my wife, thank God, and she said, I'm done. We're not living here. I'm not marrying you. I'm not living this life. Forget it. And so I feverishly was testing for all other police departments, FBI, marshals, all kinds of other cities. And I took the first thing that came, which was Naperville, thank God. And so Naperville is about 30 miles west of Chicago. There's about 200,000 residents, about 190 police officers, very progressive, very cutting edge. And so I spent about 4.5 years in patrol. And then in 1995, I went into juvenile investigations where I would handle kids who were involved in crimes and who were victims. And then I also became a SWAT operator in the same year. And then I eventually became a SWAT sniper, which I really enjoyed. And so in 1998, we had a person, I don't even want to say gentleman, come from Brentwood, Tennessee, travel all the way up to Naperville, picked up a 13-year-old at the corner of her block, took her to a hotel, and raped her. Thank God I didn't kill her. And he let her go back home. Well, when she went back home, she told her parents what happened, and then they came right to the police department. And because I was in juvenile investigations, it would be my case. And he met her on this thing. I don't know if you guys ever remember it. Some of your older audience or your younger audience don't remember this thing called America Online. A lot of when I'm teaching young cops, and I say, "Who of you don't know what America Online is?" And I'll get half the class saying that they don't know what America Online is. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so old. Right?
That was a while ago, though.
Yeah. So what then happened was we didn't know what AOL had. We didn't know how this person met this young girl. We didn't know anything. So one of our detectives, Mike Sullivan, who just came out of a drug task force, undercover drug task force, and he had a great idea. He says, hey, why don't we just do like we do in drug work? Let's take over her identity, become her, and see what happens. And sure enough, 6 months later, after talking to this guy for 6 months, he came up and tried to do it again. This time he met us. And that was the birth of our Internet Crimes Unit. And so because I was on the juvenile side, I would respond to kids who are already starting to be groomed. And then Mike Sullivan and another detective, Juliet Fabry, they would have undercover personas and meet with people. So between 98 and 2000, 2001, 2002, we were making so many arrests. It was actually like shooting fish in a barrel. Wow. Then in 2000, the Department of Justice came up with a new task force called the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, ICAC, ICAC. And so currently today, there are 61 ICACs throughout the United States. And our job is to, A, investigate child exploitation online, is to handle cyber tips from the National Center of Missing Exploited Children, and teach in our communities about cyber safety. So I have a martial art background, so I have a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I did that ever since I was 14. I ran 3 Chicagoland Taekwondo schools in the Chicagoland area. So that's where I get my teaching abilities from, because that allows me to actually teach anybody and be very patient, be very intricate in my teachings about, watching people, seeing how they respond to the training. So that was my forte. And of course, dealing with kids. So I started teaching in local schools, and that's when I partnered with the Naperville Exchange and an exchange Sherry, oh God, rest her soul, and her and I went into the schools as a partnership with Exchange, and we then made it a national project and became very successful at that. So we taught in all the Naperville schools, and here's what happens. We found that when we started teaching in schools, the number of incidents when it came to cyberbullying, sexting, sextortion, those reports decreased to the police department just by doing the training in the schools. Now, here's what the training in the schools, the message, the foundation, the empowerment is this. No one has the right to make you feel bad about yourself when it comes to online social networks or gaming platforms. No one has the right to make you do something you know you shouldn't be doing when it comes to social networking and gaming platform. If you're sitting here listening to my presentation, suffering in silence here as a student, you need to come to me. You need to come to me because when it comes to gaming and social networking, no one online is anonymous. There is no one we can't find. So if you're suffering in silence, you need to come to me. So with that message, guys, last year I taught in 90 schools across the country. And I had 20 victims come forward to me, mostly because of sextortion, and we opened up 20 cases. This year, I taught in my 25th school yesterday, and I am already up to 10 students that have come forward, and the year's only, a third over. So it's really important for this messaging. So as we were doing child exploitation online, we became the pioneers at Naperville Police Department in our area. I'll never forget a Tribune article that I saw back in the mid-2000s. It said, why are there so many, and there's a headline, front page, why are there so many predators in Naperville? And the answer to really that is, we're the only ones looking.
Right.
So all these predators are out there, but we're the only ones that are trained looking and arresting people that are harming our children. So between 2012 and 2016, I was asked by the Will County State's Attorney Jim Glasgow to create a high technology crimes unit just for Will County. And it was in my addition to my duties in Naperville. So I would work in Will County where I lived from 8 to noon, 3 days a week. And then I work in Naperville from 1 to 9, 3 days a week. And so I got a fantastic team. I stole somebody from the Attorney General's office as our full-time investigator and a Will County computer forensic examiner. And at the end of 4 years, we arrested 100 internet predators, 100 of them.
Wow.
And that's by using this thing and putting it in motion. And we were with such success. And then in 2018, I was asked to do something called a TED Talk, a TEDx.
Yes.
So when I did that, that was probably the most life-changing 12 minutes of my life. Because when that went viral, I was getting calls from all over the country to teach in schools. And so I really have a big following in Oregon, in Washington, in Arizona, and Florida. So I would go out and I train, and my bosses would be like, hey, you need to be at work. So either you're going to go do your thing or you're going to do our thing and stay here. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to retire and go do my thing. So that's what I did. So currently today, I train up to 100,000 students a year. I train about 2,000 parents. I train about 2,000 law enforcement officers, and I am one of the cyber trainers for the National Association of School Resource Officers. So I go state to state to state to train school resource officers on how to do it. Hobby of mine is writing new legislation. I wrote the sexting law, the child exploitation online law, the swatting law. I wrote the new requirements in order to be an SRO. And here's a neat fact for you.
I did want to point out, Rich, when you came to us, you did the Keeping Kids Safe Online program, and people were fascinated by that, about the amount of things that parents didn't know that were going on online, and that was really life-changing for people. And then you've taken that program and just expanded it to what you're doing now.
Right. Yeah, so so currently my job is three things. So I train students and parents all over the country in schools. I train law enforcement officers how to investigate internet crime. And then my third thing that I do is I consult for a first responder treatment center in Florida, where we have a special program, a separate program for military veterans and first responders, police, fire, dispatchers, corrections. We have a separate track on treating first responders in their post-traumatic stress injuries to their brain and also their addictions. So since 2018, when I retired, we put about 100 first responders and military veterans in treatment.
That's awesome.
So, Rich, you've taken your passion for protecting children and families, getting communities involved in your passion, and you've expanded it into a new program that Exchange just adopted. I know you and I and some other people serve on a committee to help roll this program out to members, and this podcast is going to be a useful tool to let people know what they can do to get involved. So did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So in 2013, I started to, I saw that there was a breakdown between what we knew at the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which was very high-level computer cyber investigations, right? Well, my school resource officers in Naperville were coming to me, and they had really, this is going to sound kind of black, but dark. They really gave me great child exploitation cases, you know? So the kids would trust them so much and tell them what was happening to them, and they didn't know what to do. So they called me, and I helped them through it. And I'm like, well, if my school resource officers don't know, and they're highly trained individuals, if they don't know anything about cyber, imagine what the rest of the country's like. So I got with the National Association of School Resource Officers and said, hey, I have this training program that I think your school resource officers across the country would benefit from. And so I slowly started doing small breakout sessions, and I did keynotes, and I started going state to state, and we're really having great success. So what kicked it off for me is that when Parkland happened in Florida, I read the after action, and I got through about 3/4 of it, and I couldn't even read it anymore. I was so disgusted as all the red flags and stuff like that. And then I started doing some research. And the United States Secret Service releases a threat assessment survey every year. So in the most recent survey in 2021, here's what they found. 75% of the school shooters post online what they want to do before they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that information and I'm like, well, if they're making posts, why are not these law enforcement agencies enacting something called the exigent circumstance protocol? It's because they don't know about it. So the federal government has a mandate called the Electronics Communications Privacy Act. And what they do is in this mandate, they recognize that internet companies have all this data on their users and subscribers, right? So they also recognize that law enforcement also may need that information because of the nefarious things that are happening on social media. One of those things are school shooters. So what this mandate does, it says, okay, internet companies, you have this data. In order for us to get subscriber information, IPs, and telephone numbers, law enforcement must give you a subpoena. If you want personal information, they must give you a search warrant. If death or great bodily harm is about to be committed or is being committed now, you can enact something called the exigent circumstance protocol, which you have to attest that there's an emergency, and then you have to answer a series of 5 or 6 questions, like why can't you go get regular due process? Who's threatening it? Is there a timeline? Why do you need this right away? And what information do you need? When death or great bodily harm is about to be committed or committing now, like there's going to be a school shooting tomorrow, don't come to school type of thing, we can enact the protocol and find out who the poster was within hours. Within hours. And then I started seeing that law enforcement didn't have this information. Like they were not cyber trained, which causes me in my next point, I'm writing a new law where every police officer in Illinois must have 8 hours of cybercrime training because every crime touches a phone or a social network now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm working on right now. So what we did was then I started to see and read about other shootings and the information that the Secret Service put out. And then there was also a lacking of school officials blowing this information off, like in part, oh, that's just who he is. Oh, he didn't mean it. Oh, he's harmless. Well, these are the things that were happening in schools across the country. And let me give you a very disturbing thing that I found out. So many schools have Chromebooks and iPads, right?
Yes.
And that's how our kids are learning. No more books. So when they have Chromebooks and iPads, there are basically 3 different companies that web filter. One is Securely, another one is GoGuardian, and the biggest one is Lightspeed Systems. These companies will actually give alerts to the schools when students are searching how to become a school shooter, how long do I have, what kind of guns can I buy, how to make bombs. When they do this on a school device, which they do all the time, alerts come up. The company sends it to the school officials, and the school officials must react as to what the web filter found, right? There are school districts across this country who hire attorney firms, and the attorney firms are telling them, hey, don't turn on that alert system because if you turn it on, you're responsible for the data. If you don't know it, you can't be responsible for it.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
Yeah. So when I'm learning all this stuff about reading these after actions, I was like, we have to do something. You know, it was like God was talking to me. Hey, get your ass up and start doing something, right? So what I did was I created a 2-day class called Identifying and Intercepting School Violence through something called leakage. Now, the term leakage comes from somebody who wants to post stuff and they give little hints about what they want to do. Now, the reasons why students commit school shootings is because they've been ostracized. They've been bullied in person and online. They've been made fun of. They've been beat up. The school discounts them based on who they are and what they look like. When they're ostracized, they have a breaking point, and you add that with mental health, right? About their upbringing and how they've been abused at home, maybe how maybe they have an addiction, maybe the parents have an addiction, maybe the parents are abusing the kid, right? Which causes all of this downward thinking spiral about who they are and their identity. Well, school shooters want to get back at those other students and school officials that have done this to them. So then they will post in a group chat, they'll post on a YouTube channel, they'll post on a gaming platform, I'm shooting up the school tomorrow, you better run for cover. And so we need to be training our students. If you see something, say something.
Yes.
We need to be training our school officials what to ask for when a student comes to you. And we need to be training law enforcement officers when the school comes to you. These are the things you have the ability to do. Now, because schools discount it, sometimes that information doesn't get filtered to law enforcement. Also, what schools do, sometimes they won't call their SRO until things go sideways. For example, what set this all up with Exchange in Michigan, when they had that incident in Michigan where the kid was drawing killing things on his papers, the teacher saw it, brought it to the principal. They called the parents in. They asked the parents if they bought a gun. They said that they did, but it was locked up. But they bought that gun for their kid. They didn't know if it was locked up. When they saw the drawings, the school says, you need to take your kid to a psych eval. And they said, no, that's not our problem. It's yours. If you want it, you have to send them for a psych eval. And they left. At no time did these school officials contact their SRO. So when the parents left, they let the kid go back to school. He had the gun in his backpack. Shooting 4, 5, 6 students later, the SRO disarms him and arrests him. Had these school officials contacted the SRO immediately, and so many schools don't tell their SRO what happens from the get-go. In my training, I make that stuff stop. I put everybody on notice. You school officials need to be telling your SRO everything that happens for their intel. And you law enforcement officers, stop telling the schools that there's nothing you can do, because I'm going to show you what you can do. So the first day of this class is with school officials, your social workers, your deans, your assistant principals, your security, your superintendent, board members, and also your SROs and your local law enforcement and detectives, patrol officers. They are all attending the first day. And so what we try to do is I put them on notice saying, school officials, you need to do this, 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 and this. Once you get the information, law enforcement officers, you need to do this, 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 and this. And they're all on the same page now. Now, the second day, it is optional for the school officials to go to the class. A lot of them do because they're so interested in what I'm teaching. The second day, we are actually doing the work. So, for example, the object of this class is to get the mental health help the student needs before the shooting starts, right? That's our goal. It's not about arrest. It's not about taking somebody in custody. It's not about doing search warrants. It's about the mental health of the student. That's what this is all about. So once we can identify who the student is through exigent circumstance, remember I talked about that?
Yes.
We can find out who the kid was who posted it, where they live, all their social media. So once we've secured the kid within a couple hours, so if the threat comes in at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, by lunchtime, we're going to have that kid in custody. What does custody mean? Custody means either they're under arrest or they're taken to a mental health facility. That's what custody means. But the work's not done. Once we get the kid in custody, then we move to execute 3 search warrants or consents. We will do a search warrant on the home for weapons and computers. The second search warrant we will do on their cell phone to see A, who they're collaborating with, and B, what social networks that they're using. Our third search warrant is on those social networks to see the amount of planning, posting, and who they're collaborating with. Once we've done those 3 search warrants, we will know that child's deepest, darkest secrets, and then we can use that to charge the child or to continue their mental health journey in a hospital setting, whatever it takes. But in order to stop the shootings, we have to know if there's weapons there, right? This is the reason why we go on that. And now, if you wanted to bring this program to your schools, let me break down paying for the presentation. So this administration had, in the president's administration, had earmarked close to $1 billion in social emotional training and learning for the schools across the country.
Wow.
Every state has something called a Regional Office of Education, ROE, or an ISD. So the ISD and the ROEs actually are the receiver of these funds, and that's how we pay for it. So we can have up to 65 to 70 students in this class who are school officials and law enforcement. You have to have a location that has great Wi-Fi, and these people will bring their laptops, whether it's a MacBook or a PC, no iPads, no Chromebooks, nothing like that. It has to be a PC or a Mac. We have to be able to plug those in, and so they don't run out of battery, those little things. And the Wi-Fi must be able to handle all of those people attending the class. So people can go to my website at bsureconsulting.com. And then when you go there, there's a big button on the top says SRO in-person training. And there are flyers there. There are where we're going to be. There are evaluations of people who have taken the class. And just so your listeners know, is that this school year, we've already stopped 7 acts of school violence. 7.
Wow.
We just had one in Granite City where they took my class and they were able to stop it within hours. And
That's
so
amazing.
That's the importance of it. So if you have a local exchange club, get with your exchange. They should all know about this national project with National Exchange. And then Tom Carnes is my contact person. So what will I send you? I will send you a sample flyer. If you contact me at Rich Wistocki at bsureconsulting.com, or you can call me 630-461-0044, and I will send you the itinerary of the class. I will send you the directions on how to set it up, and I will also send you a sample flyer that I will make for you. So we need to be about 2 months out so we can get the information out there, funding is secured, and things like that.
Okay, good. Well, this is something we definitely would love to see expand. It's so important to get this into school districts around the country, and we thank you for your work and for partnering with Exchange.
Awesome. And I'd love to tell you one quick story. We were teaching this class in Hanover for the Exchange Club in Hanover, and we had an officer there who learned what they need to learn about phone numbers and tracing them and things like that. So the next day he went back to his police department and he saw that some of his detectives were called to the ER, and there was a 14-year-old runaway there who was being sex trafficked by someone they couldn't identify. So when this officer who took my class, when he was in a briefing, they're like, we have these numbers, but we don't know how to trace it. And he goes, oh, we did that in class. This is what you asked for. Let me give you, because I give everybody a flash drive. Let me show you the information that you need. Within hours, they were able to identify the number, who used it, and save other girls from being sex trafficked.
Wow.
That's what this class does to save our kids who are being abused.
You know, Rich, this is just such a horrible underbelly of our society, these problems that threaten our children. And it's something that people don't like to think about if they don't have to. So I thank you on behalf of Exchange and as a mother for bringing this to the attention of the people who can help save our kids.
And I'm glad you ended with that success story. It shows that these things can be solved, prevented, and we appreciate your partnership in making sure that happens. I love your passion for this project and how you just so believe that this can be done, that these things can be stopped, and that's what this country needs. So we thank you.
We can stop school shootings, and that's what
Absolutely.
I open up when I do keynotes, and I tell them we can stop school shootings, and they look at me like, "What are you talking about?" But when they see the devil's in the details, right? When they see
Yes.
how this transpires, we cut it off before it happens. We can't stop it. It's just a matter of exchange, training, school officials and law enforcement to get them on board in order to have the successes we've already hit. Seven acts of school violence we already stopped from this class across the country.
Amazing. Well, we are thrilled to join you in partnership to deliver this important program. So it's been great to hear your updates, and we want to get this out to exchange clubs and prospective members around the country and in every school district. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Rich.
All
Have
right.
a great day.